What's going on, guys? Noah Sanford here. Welcome back to the channel. You already know the deal. We are hitting you guys with that Thursday fishing report as usual. But before we jump into this week's episode, I want to remind you guys, to those of you watching who aren't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. If you like any of the following things: Lake Mead fishing, bass boats, anything that has to do with water or fishing or outdoors in general, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That's what we're all about here. We're trying to grow the channel. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this week's fishing report. So starting off with wind conditions for the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. To be completely honest, guys, the weekend looks pretty miserable, and it's kind of unfortunate because I've got a couple guided trips during the weekend, so it's going to definitely make it tough. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are all looking very windy. Saturday is going to be the worst. So if you're going out Saturday like I am with my customers, make sure you go out pretty early in the morning. Friday seems to be the same exact trend. Sunday doesn't look quite as windy, but you're still gonna get gusts up into the high 20s. So really, guys, it's not an ideal weekend to fish, but if you work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, that's no excuse. You better get out there anyways and find those protected areas. Let's talk about the water temperatures I've been finding this week. So believe it or not, water temps have actually dropped a little bit. And this is gonna kind of lead me into my next point in a second here, but the water temps have dropped quite a bit, and I think the reason for that is because we're getting those colder nighttime temperatures, and we've had a few days in the 60s and 70s, whereas the last week or so we've had them in the 80s and even low 90s. So water temps this week I've found are kind of like between 64 and 65, depending on where you're at. Now that's for those coves and 30, 40 feet and shallower, right? Obviously out in the main lake, it's probably gonna be like 62, 63, but in the actual areas you're gonna be fishing, it's probably gonna be right around 64 to 65 is what you're gonna be looking at. That's gonna bring me into my next point. What the heck is going on right now? So if any of you guys have been out on Lake Mead in the last 72 hours or so, and you've been out in the last couple weeks, you're gonna know that the fishing went from way up here to kind of so-so. And the reason for that, like I said, is because I think that cold front and all this wind and crap has really pulled these bass off. And then the other part to that is they're just getting hammered, especially in the lower basin. If you guys are fishing in the lower basin, and I mean if you're fishing out of Hemingway, out of Colville, or anywhere in between, those fish are getting probably twice as much pressure as the rest of the lake. The reason for that is because that's the closest spot to Vegas. Both of those areas are easy to launch from if you live in Vegas, and most of the spots that you're gonna fish around there are within 15 or 20 minutes of the launch ramp. So the lower basin is getting absolutely hammered right now. And so I think honestly, a lot of these fish are just seeing a lot of lures. They're getting a lot of pressure and they're getting hooked a lot, okay? I can't tell you how many fish I've caught this week with 2 and 3 holes in their face already. It's the first time I've caught the fish. I have no idea if they've already been hooked down in the water, but then you pull them up out of the water and they clearly have been caught a couple times. So it's kind of unfortunate. It's kind of the pros and cons to bed fishing is it's really fun. It's a really good time for fishing, but the drag is you don't know if the fish that you are trying to catch got caught 6 hours ago. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. But if you're going out this weekend and you have a boat and enough gas capacity, I would try and run up past the Narrows and get away from the lower basin. I mean, really, the lower basin is getting smoked right now from all of this pressure that all these guys are going out. Spring is a good time for fishing, and a lot of guys are going out right now. So if you're gonna go out and you have kind of a full day and enough gas, I would kind of get out away. You could maybe even launch at Echo Bay or Temple Bar, but I would definitely try and get away from the lower basin. Now, it's kind of counterintuitive because me as a guide, I spend a majority of my time in the lower basin just because I run half-day trips, and if we were to go up to the other end of the lake, half of our day, for the most part, I mean, yeah, you think about it, it's gonna be about an hour run. Probably about half of our day is just gonna be driving, so we don't wanna do that. I am very confident in the lower basin. I know most of the spots, and I still know how to get bites down there when a lot of guys can't, just for the fact that I'm out there more than most people and I have a lot of time on the water. But if it was up to me, for you guys, I would definitely try and get away from that area. It's gonna move me into my next point, what I've been catching these fish on. So obviously, same thing, guys, when it comes to the bed fish, it really doesn't matter. You can throw a Bic lighter with a hook on it, they're gonna eat it. But when it comes to my females out deep, when I'm fishing for those big staging females, I'm gonna typically be throwing Finesse right now, actually. So I started off this week with my customers and myself throwing bigger baits. So like a big worm down on the bottom, a big jig, and it really wasn't producing. We got a bite here and there. It usually wasn't even a female. It was like a 1 or 2 pounder. Once I started downsizing though, throwing my drop shots, Ned rigs, that kind of stuff down on the bottom in 30 and 40 feet, working them really slow. That's the key, working them really slow. You're definitely gonna want that rod just sitting there doing nothing more than you're actually giving that bait action right now. But as soon as I broke out that light line and that finesse tackle, that really seemed to do the trick. Fishing's good right now. I don't have very many days in the near future, so if you guys wanna get in on some of this April action, make sure to check out my website or give me a call. All right, guys, Noah Sanford, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys out on the water.